Hello and welcome to the Change Gang podcast with me, your host, Laura Ordile. I'm here to help you hold on to your sanity and your soul as you move through big change. I'm here to guide you from frustration to flow in your life, bridging the practical and the woo, just for you. Let's go. Hey Change Gang, welcome to the week. We're going to talk about some things about not knowing, going a little deep into some of the thought processes and the understanding of not knowing until we know. You've heard that before, right? You just don't know something until you know it. What does that mean? What does that look like? Why is it that way? So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and I'll share a few examples in my own life, which sometimes is not super easy for me, especially in some of the areas that I'm going to talk about today. So I hope you'll bear with me as we go through it. But when we don't know something, and then we have this light bulb moment, this illumination, and all of a sudden we go from not knowing to absolutely knowing and understanding. Sometimes that can be a shock. And oftentimes, when we come to that space, instead of understanding maybe why we're there, why we're coming to that moment of knowing, we tend to turn and almost attack ourselves for not knowing up to that point, for not seeing it. How come I didn't see that? How come I didn't know that? How come I didn't understand that? How could I be so silly or even stupid, right? How could I be so stupid? We say those things to ourselves. Or we see someone else sometimes who is just doing something that you know is not in the right place for them. They're in a bad relationship, or they're having something happen in their life and they're just not seeing it clearly. And until they come to that moment of illumination, of understanding, they're just not going to know. Oftentimes that happens in really difficult situations around abuse, maybe. That can happen. A lot of people don't understand, or they think they do, what an abusive situation, an abusive relationship is. I didn't understand a lot of it. There were things that happened all throughout my life that brought me to different understandings. One of them was that word abuse. And that happened from people at a very young age for me. And I didn't realize it. I didn't come to that illumination, that understanding, until I was somewhere between 16 and 18 years old, I don't think. And I'm an intelligent person, I'll tell you. I'm pretty smart. However, for whatever reason, that was there. I knew what abuse was. I knew I could see it in other people, in other relationships. Oh, that kid, they're abused, or that happened. But I never saw the things that were taking place in my own life as being defined as that particular word, as abuse, as abusive. I didn't see that. And when I did get to the point where I saw it, I had all kinds of emotional reactions. I had all kinds of situations that happened. But at the same time, I came to that knowledge at a time when I was able to do something about it. When I understood it enough to know that I could get help, I could process it, I could do all these things. My mind allowed that door to open at a time that it at least thought I could understand and move forward with some of it. But even as adults, we don't see it, because I'll tell you what, I ended up in some abusive relationships. One of them, I didn't even understand what was going on until I was up against a wall with his hand or arm against my throat, being basically choked. I didn't understand that was in my life yet again. Here was another form, another way, another version that I got really clear on in a moment about what was happening. Was there emotional, physical? There's all kinds of abuse, and it happens in so many ways. It also gets, no pun intended, abused. The word gets abused, that somebody is being abusive, or just because you don't like what they say. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about here. So don't go there. But one of the things that also happens, and this happened the first time when I was in that 16, 18 year range, is I turned back and looked at myself and thought, how could I not know? How could I not understand that? How did I not see that for what it was? Because I didn't. First of all, because I was maybe 5 years old. Some of it happened. So, gosh, would you expect a 5-year-old to be completely understanding of everything that was happening in their life? No. But as myself, I somehow had that expectation that I should have known, even at that young age. How could I not have known? How could I not have said something to someone? We go to chastise ourselves, to beat ourselves up for what we didn't know before we knew it. That's not what it's about. That's not what it's meant to be when we have those understandings come into our life. When I realized it, at that grown-up point when that abuse was happening, it was still a hard thing to swallow, still a hard thing to come to. It's hard to look back and not see how all of the steps happened, how all of the things happened that got me where I was, that got me into the place that I had to get out of. But I don't beat myself up for that. Not anymore. I did for a while. I did. Because how do you let yourself fall into that? How do you not get out? So I make sure I don't say that about other people in relationships. I really look at them and not try to say, how could you not just walk away? How could you not just do this? Because I understand that you're in a different place sometimes, that I don't know their circumstances. I don't know their internal situation, their internal awareness. I don't know. So I can't say, oh, they're just being ridiculous. They need to get out of that situation. I can look at it and I can guide them in the best way possible to encourage them to see some of the things for themselves and hopefully spark that understanding, spark that illumination. But I can't make that decision for them. And I've had it happen in other areas of my life. I knew all of my life what alcoholism was. I had family members who were quote unquote alcoholics. It was just a word. It was just a word. That's all I knew it as. Until I ended up in a relationship with an alcoholic. Boy, howdy, did I come to a different understanding of what that word meant, of all that it entailed. It's very different. Very different. And we come to these points in our life, we come to these understandings when our mind says, okay, let's deal with this. And you know that a lot of times people have those repressed memories, the things that your mind says, no, we don't want to go there, we don't want to do that. Because your mind, as you know, I say, is always trying to keep you safe, is always trying to help you. So if you're coming to these realizations, you're at a point in your life where it's saying, in order to be safe going forward, you need to understand this. You need to have an awareness of this. And I'm going to open the door. So if you have that happen to you, take that as the gift that it is meant to be, not as an opportunity to beat yourself up for what you didn't see, for what you didn't know, for any of that. Because that is not what is happening there for you. It is meant as that gift of knowledge, of understanding, of illumination. I had that same thing happen, which I've spoken about when I got COVID and long haul COVID. I did not know. I had heard forever so many people talk about chronic fatigue, chronic illness. They were words. I didn't understand. I had a knowledge, a intellectual knowledge of what those words meant, but I did not have that understanding until I experienced it. And for whatever reason, I experienced it and came to that understanding. At this point in my life, at first, yes, I got upset that I couldn't function as well, or my memory wasn't being as good, or my body was not doing what I wanted it to do. I got frustrated. A lot of that had to do with outside pressures, but I came to an internal understanding with my body, with the knowing of what was happening, that I was going to be okay. I just had to understand where I was at in this given time and move ahead from there and process from there. Whether I was going to be with this chronic fatigue, with this difficult situation moving forward, or whether it was going to heal, I didn't know. I didn't know years ago whether I was going to continue to have instances of difficulties from the abuse that had taken place as a child in the relationship later in life. I didn't know. I had to come to a place that said, all right, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to move forward and I'm going to deal with this as I am now. It's a part of me. It's a part of me. And the door to knowledge, the door to understanding has been opened. So I can look out at others and see in a different way. So when these moments come to you, these moments of knowing, please receive them as that gift of understanding, as the gift of yourself trusting that you are ready for the information that you're being given. It might be difficult to take. It might be difficult to understand. It might be hard to know why you are in this place that maybe you don't want to be in, because a lot of times these illuminations are difficult ones. It might be that you are not in the relationship that you should be in, could be in, want to be in. It might be that for whatever reason you are having to move forward in a way that you don't necessarily feel like you should have to, that you want to, but you are being given the gift of understanding that you can now move forward with more knowledge and understanding of yourself and the situations around you than you had before. We don't live in a circle where we move through something and it comes around and it's complete. We move through in a spiral. Even if certain things are being left behind and moving forward, and maybe we slide back down that spiral a little bit and then we come back up. You are always in a different place when you understand something new. When you are back in a situation, and I say back only because maybe you are repeating something or you're seeing something in a new way, always take it as that new way. You're coming at it from that spiral where you're moving up. And if you think of being like a spiral staircase, or you're thinking of being maybe in one of those car spirals that goes up or comes down like in a parking garage, think about if you stopped where you think you're at that same spot in the circle and you look down over the edge. Are you in the same spot? No. You are in a different place. And so you have a different viewpoint, you have a different understanding, and you move forward from there. I hope all that made sense. I hope I brought that together in a way that makes sense for you. To know that when you are being brought new understandings, you are in a new place, in a new adventure in your life. And it is not to knock you down, it is not to knock you back, it is not to bring you a negative moment. It is to give you a gift of understanding and being able to move forward and move in a direction that is good for you. Your mind is always working and doing for you in a way that is trying to keep you safe and happy. And having been through the things that you've been through, can you look back now and see the gifts of understanding that you were given? The doors that your mind opened for you? Maybe you didn't feel ready at the time, but maybe now you can look at them and go, oh, yeah, and I've come such a long way from that. I'm in such a different place. Maybe right now you're thinking, I'm in the midst of it and I need to be in a new place. I need to be moving into something different and changing my perspective, changing my viewpoint, making progress. Your mind is going to help you with that. be prepared for some illuminations. Be prepared for some understandings along that path. And receive them so that you can open that door wider and see even more from a whole new perspective. And just to let you know that on October 8th, I have a brand new program that I'm putting out. It's 8 weeks, and it's called Change Your Mind, Change Your Life. Because just as I've been talking about, and on most of the podcasts that you've listened to, if you've listened to other ones, when you change the way you think about things, when you change the way that you're moving through your life, when you move through that mind process, everything starts to change. And when you do that, it feels good and right because you are directing the way that you want to go. You are moving it in a way that is going to really show some results in your life. So I have that 8-week programming. It's my beta program. So it's the first time that I've put these particular things together in this 8-week version of it so that we can get going for you and get it done and get some progress in your life for the end of 2022 and hop into 2023 with some new flow, new energy, and new awarenesses, new processes in your mind to keep you moving. So if you're interested in that, hop on to one of the socials. I'll actually put the link in the show notes for the program itself, but you can come and ask me any questions. You can email me. You can come into the Change Gang group and chat with me there, or you can just find me on one of the socials and say, hey, I have a few questions. I would be happy to answer them for you. 8 weeks, change your mind, change your life, and it's going to happen just like that. I hope to see you and meet you in that program, and I hope to meet you right here, same place, same time, next week. Ciao. I hope today's episode was interesting to you in some way and fun. If so, hey, find someone to share it with. Maybe they need to hear it too, or maybe they'll just enjoy it. If you'd like, go ahead and grab my tips on supercharging your success. It includes a free short meditation to do just that. You can find that at bit.ly/supercharge your success. Until next time, happy day.